So, Elf Hunter, how does it feel to still be stuck playing an evil character, never to be released? Come on.
I don't know what you're asking.
Why are you so bad? I just need to know. Like, do you need us to get the police involved or a therapist or, you know?
We already got a therapist.
Well,
we can all ask Mike after the session.
Sometimes it is fun. I like the idea of just playing just a bastard. Just because in real life, I'm, not wanting to step on toes sometimes. I'm a bit too much like that, and I don't want to be like that all the time. And, when I can just role play this jerk, it's cathartic. It's really fun. Mm-hmm. That's another reason. Like we were talking about all the benefits of it. You can explore a character, you can learn whatever, but also it's just fun. It's enjoyable. Yep. Now, I want to take it a bit further. There are some evil character ideas that probably are not fun, that probably a lot of people would not want to do. Like horror stories. The guy that's hacking people up with an axe. Do you want to be that guy? Even among I've asked other aggressive role players, would you guys ever play just a depraved person? Would you ever do that?
Oh,
and even among them, they say
Jason Worry, those are not character. They're like force of nature. Like they're like entity, right? They're not person per se. They don't have personality and stuff like that. They're just mechanism for right. I don't think they're interesting to roleplay for that reason.
Well, there could be that, and there could be maybe you could roleplay as this guy who's trying to be good, but you have this passion or this desire, and maybe you have to roll against it or something, that you're fighting against your inner drive. And I think that would be interesting to roleplay. Maybe very uncomfortable, maybe not fun, but interesting to explore. And I found that some, even role players, are not interested in that.
Okay, I understand that the argument of the Chainsaw Massacre character who's almost beyond human, evil spirit incarnate, or especially in horror stories, that that there's lots of the humanity has left already at that point. Now I'm thinking of, would you role play Joffrey Baratheon from Game of Thrones, completely spoiled brat that gains a taste of torturing, women.
What about Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Which some people say, and I don't know how true it is, right? That he had those compulsion, and that he tried to fight against them. He tried to find help, and then he got ignored, and then at some point he couldn't resist anymore, and did all those horrible thing. What if what if that's I think the problem I would have with playing such a character, although it could be interesting, but for other people around, it would be such a fucking bummer. Mm-hmm. It'd bring it just wouldn't be fun, because it's so such dark subject, it's I don't know. It's feel like maybe on a one-on-one game you could do that stuff like that, but even for the GM it'd be so fucking heavy.
Yeah, that is the part of the high trust being really important, that you can say, okay, guys, it's getting too far. When we role played the Lich's Dregs, I was okay with a lot of things. But when you took that orc woman in the tavern, lifted her over your shoulder to go to the bedroom, that was for me, okay, well, that's my veil. I'm pulling the veil here. And everybody knows what the orc did to the orc woman alone in the bedroom in the tavern. There's no question. And I would only explore that scene if I think there was a question that needs to be explored, like maybe she wants to kill you for something else you've done earlier. But that was not important. And another point that I experienced was, the humans are running away after you've slain the barbarian warriors. But a couple people were hiding, were stuck. That's how you got the child. at first I was thinking making her a little girl.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, wait, this might get too dark, and I'm not comfortable role playing any kind, like an abuse to a little girl. And I think the other players would probably not be okay with that. But I think I can get almost everything else done if it's just a boy instead. We can get all the heavy scenes done without this cloud hanging over our heads of why are we role playing this out, you know?
That was a good instinct. And if you had made a little girl, I probably would have like put the tension there without being super explicit with it. But I would have fucking make you uncomfortable. I would make you like
Yeah.
I would have brought the tension, right? But I like tension in my game. I like when
Yeah.
like people like kind of like just on the edge, right? I want to just on the limit.
Real.
It's risky because like, everybody else's limit's different, right? And
Yeah.
mine might be a little further than most, but like I don't think I would have gone like all like putting my hand in her pennies, right? Just like right away.
That's the thing of we are being in character, and we are all trying not to break the rule of, oh, well, don't speak out of character, right? We are preserving the verisimilitude of the world. We are portraying it honestly as much as possible. But also, well, some things you don't want to do. You just don't want to do it. And I'm not here to force the players to, well, you describe what your character is, do the thing now. That would also feel a violation of trust as well. So any thoughts on that? I want to leave it to you guys. Go ahead.
I was about to say like there's a thing also like in session 0, like if you want to play like those kind of game like very dark and stuff like that, that's like when we decided to play a monster game, I told you Zonolar, I said, okay, we can do that, but be ready that I'm gonna be a fucking monster.
And I was ready. I was ready.
Yeah. Like and like if I were like to keep with the example of like Jeffrey Dahmer, if I would play like with like it would be like a GM that I'm used to, that I know well, like maybe like somebody like Phil and stuff like that. Say like, I want to play like I want to try that, like experiment, like playing this Jeffrey Dahmer kind of guy that have this compulsion that he cannot resist, but he's trying his best to do, but at some point we know he's gonna fail, right?
Yeah.
But that would be like the purpose of that game, right? It's not just a character you throw in a party. It becomes what the game's about. Or
it's the premise of the game, why we play.
That's what it is. So I think that's also like something you need to discuss up front and like have buy-in at the table, because otherwise, like, man, it's gonna be heavy.
Well, it would not just be heavy. It might transgress against people's willingness to go there emotionally and cognitively. So that might be a big deal. Like, there's just certain things that, I wouldn't want to identify with or portray or imagine if I can avoid it. Because for me as a person, they're just way outside the bounds of what I find acceptable.
And it's like, what's the benefit of exploring that side, right?
Yeah.
Like at some point you think, oh, I see benefit understanding this kind of character, and I actually don't need to know how a pedophile thinks to go where he would go, to like put a word on it, right? I don't want to explore that. I'm putting a lid on that, and that's okay. That's the whole thing of we had so many years of role-playing tables saying, oh, lines and veils and X cards, and fill out the sheet to tell me all of your preferences, and let's use BDSM nomenclature to describe it all, to go for it. But 99% of problems can be solved with talk to the players, communicate, high trust table, establish friendships.
Read the room.
Read the room, yes.
The room.
A lot of people cannot read the room. They need to learn that.
Yeah.
I think my limit might be farther than most people. Surprisingly, I don't know.
The range.
But
it's the darkness of your soul.
I'm like, what does it say about me? The darkness.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm a bit disappointed. I thought it was like I didn't expect like it would be like therapy hour. I thought it was the rapey hour.
my god!
Oh yes, as Shauna used to
Talk
say.
about
"No way
reading the
to-"
room.
I think there could be benefit to role playing certain things that are, or role playing certain characters that are out there. I'll just say,
Mhm.
I wouldn't role play certain like scenes.
Sure.
Just be implication. I think there could still be benefit to exploring characters like that, but you got to have just the right people. Everyone's
Mhm.
got to be on board, and I think I'd be okay with it. But I mean, who knows? I might get halfway through the session and just feel sick or something. Be like, never mind. But
That's the part of like you gotta have room after the session of like, you okay? Like,
yeah,
you wanna
And again,
continue this character? Wanna continue the scenes? Or are we? Do we just wanna go back to high fantasy and slay orcs instead?
and again, role playing that kind of character, the benefit is not it's so fun, fantasy fulfillment. I want to be like this guy. It's
Right.
not that.
Yeah, challenge.
It's a challenge, and it really goes into horror well. When you watch
Yep.
a horror movie, it's not because you want to see people cut in half, presumably, hopefully not.
Except
It's
for
because
the,
of
some that do.
yeah, not me, but I like gruesome things sometimes because of the tension, and it like gets that scary feeling in you, not because I want to see somebody hurt. So if I'm role playing something farther out there, it could be another reason could also be, what's the greatest horror? It could be finding out that you are the monster.
I was
What's
about
worse than that?
It's exactly what I was going to say, right? Like that's like since my younger years, right? Like when I have like nightmares and stuff like that, like monster dream, like I'm always like it's always like I'm always like end up like it's weird to explain, but like where I like I am the monster chasing down people and stuff like that, and I don't want to. It's like if you are like a werewolf, right? But you're
Right.
the wolf and you're eating people stuff, but like you're still your human brain is in the back, right? You cannot control yourself. The beast took over, and you're like powerless to witness that, right? It's kind of weird that, but like I often say that in horror, like that's the most terrifying horror. Like Elfanter just said, it's like when you're the monster, you're being turned to the monster against your will, and at some point, like you don't realize at first. But then at some point you have this moment of step back and say like, man, I am the fucking monster. I am the one doing those horrific action. Like that all were good, but like that's so much more terrifying than just like,
Oh yeah,
I would have machete
Yeah.
killing.
But I
Wait,
think,
I'm the one that was the machete.
but I think that's good. I mean, in the role playing context, that's good. If you can define what is horrifying and why, then you will steer clear of it. You will do the opposite. You will do anything in your power to stop it. You can put a name on it, right? There's this
That's
like.
so hard to do.
Go ahead.
It's so hard to do in the role playing context. Having those realization though, having those like bring the player to that point. It's very hard.
And I don't think that as a game master, that should not be your goal. There can be a benefit that happens on accident, but I would not advise it to do it like, oh, that's why we role play the evil guys. Let's explore how deep the dark well really goes.
There are, games that try to parallel like the monster or the, compulsion kind of elements of people in the game. Think about Vampire the Masquerade, right?
Yes.
It's a game that's really trying to model that monster, that compulsion, that desire to feed and prey off of others.
A desire of power and dominating others against their free will.
Exactly. And I think that is, paralleling those ideas is maybe a safer way to do some of those evil things for most people, that wouldn't go as far as you two have expressed. Whereas, actually taking something real world and trying to embody that real world thing in a role-playing game might be difficult to not make it one-dimensional, but also might make it difficult to, to go the distance with the character in the world that you need to do. Did I just kill everything?
No, I'm trying to. I was also reading comments, so I missed out a bit on the end there.
Oh,
So you mean like,
No.
yeah, to explore some darker sides through those games, Vampire the Masquerade and such?
yeah, I think they offer a line of safety to explore some of those themes, right? And you can take those themes as literally and as deep as you want to go, but that's, I think, in part what some of those games were designed to do.
I think you're right that they were designed to do that, but from back in the 90s, my memory back in like when those games were kind of new and fresh, I think they kind of failed to do that though. Because people did use them as power fantasy, largely.
I guess I would say that people missed the boat on the horror aspect of the game. That's true, but I think that it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just that when people played it, they played up the power fantasy versus the horror element.
I think it's the mechanics might have like played it, like maybe like the consequence for being monstrous weren't strong enough. But then again, is that something that you want to bring through mechanics? I don't know. Maybe which the vibe wasn't. Maybe like because 40 wasn't there yet.
Maybe
we let them down in the 90s, Mr. Max. We could have been
exactly.
there. Could have saved them all.
There was no internet stuff and stuff like that. But like I remember like I tried to play like a weird Vampire the Masquerade was big like when in our group like where that really like displays D&D, and then I later like Werewolf even more so I think, but that's a very different beast. Pun not intended. But I remember like when we were playing like a vampire, I was trying to explore this idea of like this struggle with humanity and stuff like that because I thought that was an interesting concept. And I like playing Malkavian, but I didn't want to play them like goofy guy. Like I said, like like trying to play like this guy with a mental illness and this like you kind of know, but you're not sure when it's what and what's real, right? And losing the grip and like the horror in that as well, right? Like trying to figure out like the not being able to trust your own sense in a way, right, and stuff like that, and when I was approaching that, I was trying to explore it in earnest manner and try to figure out like what it would be to be that kind of guy, right? What it trying to understand, but that was like I was like the weird one in that. Most people just wanted to be like, I'm just goofy, I'm crazy. It's like that's what people would do, right? It's like it's unfortunate, but I guess maybe most people are not role players.
So you were trying to get into an uncomfortable spot and role play it out, feel it out, and well, yeah.
For me, I like to put myself in an uncomfortable spot when I role play. Like I want to live something, really. I want to have like this. I want to have some effect. Yes.
Yeah. It's gonna be very hard to get people down with that, especially strangers. And it's understandable why there's an aversion to going certain places. Like I had a dream one time. In this dream, someone hurt a dog, and then I hurt that person. I'll just say, and I woke up, and hear people talk about like, oh, I had to collect my emotions and whatever. I've never been that way. I'm not emotional like that. But when I woke up, I had this horrible feeling for like 30 minutes before, I was like, oh, I didn't like that. So it's understandable. Some people might not want to go there. And, they're going to put up those walls.
Let's talk about that. Let's, not that specifically, but I had the same thought about vulnerability. Being vulnerable at the table with the other people, that's why we advise for high trust. Like 40 roleplay doesn't work without high trust because somebody might abuse it to get under your skin. and then they feign, oh, it's just what my character would do. Don't make a big stink about it, yada, yada, yada. No. The high trust comes first, so we can establish the 4D roleplay style and stay in universe, stay in character. So even if we roleplay out something evil while you're vulnerable, it's going to be okay because the session's going to end and you can have some time to talk about it and be like, that was cool, that was awesome. I really felt it. I felt the hair on the back of my neck standing up. That was horrifying. And you have the catharsis, like watching a horror movie, you come out like, that was cathartic. And I'm so glad that the bad guy died at the end, you know. It chopped his head off and did unspeakable horrors onto him because he's the bad guy, now it's okay. But role-playing a character who is vulnerable, how do you feel about that? And have you role-played? Do you remember a scene of, my character was just like a victim to the circumstances?